Hello everyone, I'm Caitlin Barameda. Women and children have suffered in the hands of disrespectful men, and during this pandemic, this has increased drastically. Me and the officers of SPG would like to inform you about VAWC. Go ahead, Kyla.
Thank you, Kate. What is VAWC? VAWC, or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004, is a law passed to protect women and children from violence, also known as RA 9262. The law is in keeping with the provisions on human rights enshrined in the Philippine Constitution.
Republic Act RA 9262, otherwise known as the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Child Law. VAWC defines violence against women and children as any act or a series of acts against a woman who is his wife, former wife, or against a woman with whom the person has or had a sexual or dating relationship, or against her child, whether legitimate or illegitimate, within or without family about, which results physical, sexual harm or suffering or economic abuse, including threats of such acts, battery, assault, deprivation of liberty. Hence, it can be committed against a man's wife, ex-wife, girlfriend, ex-girlfriend, lover, ex-lover, or the woman's child. Violence against women takes on many forms such as physical violence, sexual violence, physiological violence, and economic abuse.
Hi everyone, I'm Mariam Safa Bora, SPG Secretary of Ginto Central School.
Isabella Landayan.
And I, Yusuf Makapodi, SPG Grade 6 Representative.
And we are here to explain what is physical violence against kids.
Forcing the wife and a mistress or lover to live in the same house or sleep together in the same room.
Or attempting to cause the victim to engage in a sexual act through the threat of violence or harm.
Prostituting the victim. The law protects women and children against various and acts violence, whether taking place in or out of the home. These acts generally fall under the following categories.
What is physical violence against kids?
Child physical violence against kids is a non-accidental injury of a child. Many states add other factors to the legal definition, such as the age of the abuser and the nature of the injury. Injuries include bruises, lacerations, blunt trauma, fractures, head trauma, shaking, burns, and poisoning.
And also, physical violence refers to acts that include bodily or physical harm. Violence against children takes many forms. It can be physical, emotional, or sexual. It happens in all countries and any setting. In a child's home, community, school, and online. In some parts of the world, violent discipline is socially accepted and common. And for many girls and boys, violence comes at the hands of people they trust.
Violence against kids includes all forms of violence against people under 18 years old, whether perpetrated by parents or other caregivers, peers, romantic partners, or strangers.
Child abuse can happen in any family or in any neighborhood. Studies have shown that child abuse crosses all boundaries of income, race, ethnic heritage, and religious faith.
No matter what form of violence a child exposed to, his or her experience may lead to serious and lifelong consequences. Violence can result in physical injury, sexually transmitted infections, anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, unplanned pregnancy, and even death. Evidence also suggests that toxic stress associated with violence in early childhood can permanently impair brain development and other parts of nervous system.
Globally, it is estimated that up to 1 billion children aged 2 to 17 years have experienced physical, sexual, or emotional violence or neglect in the past year. Experiencing violence in childhood impacts lifelong health and well-being.
Some ways to stop physical abuse to kids. Try to understand your children. Learn how kids behave and what they can and can't do at different ages. Have realistic expectations and be reasonable if children fall short. Keep your children healthy. Denying children food, sleep, or health care is abuse by neglect. Get help with alcohol or drug problems. Keep children away from anyone who abuses their substances. Watch your words. Angry or punishing language can have emotional scars for a lifetime.
Rape and sexual harassment. For the year 2010, South Africa had the highest rate of rape in the world at 132.4 incidents per 100,000 people. In a survey released by the South African Medical Research Council in 2009, approximately 1 in 4 men admitted to committing rape. However, the government in South Africa is working to address this dysfunction, and proponents maintain that the rate has dropped to 72.1 in 2019-2020 reporting.
Hi everyone, I'm Zeth, SPG Vice President, and I'm here to tell you all about psychological violence in VAWC, or violence against women and their children. Psychological violence, any act which causes psychological harm to an individual. Psychological violence can take form of, for example, coercion, defamation, verbal abuse, or harassment. It refers to acts or omissions causing or likely to cause mental or emotional suffering to the victim, such as but not limited to intimidation, harassment, stalking, damage to property, public ridicule or humiliation, repeated verbal abuse, and mental infidelity. Here are some ways to prevent VAWC. Educate yourself on violence against women. Learn the facts and the prevalence. Contact your local school board and ask them to address sexual harassment in schools. Contact your local legislators and political leaders and advocate for tougher laws against perpetrators of violence against women. Be courageous. Don't be afraid to speak up for those who lost their voice or dignity. We can make a difference by respecting each other, all genders. That's all. Thank you.
Act of lasciviousness. It is making physical contact with another person's body for the goal of getting sexual enjoyment other than or without the intent of sexual intercourse. Contact can be made with the accused's body, such as the lips, hands, or feet, or with any item or equipment. There is no need sexual intercourse to consider it as a harassment. It differs from attempted rape because in harassment or lasciviousness, there is no intention of engaging in sexual activity with the victim. The intent can be inferred from the time, location, and occasion of the act, or from the character of the act itself. According to Article 336 of the Revised Penal Code states, the acts of lasciviousness can be punished by imprisonment to 6 months up to 6 years. Correctional penalty such as this has prescriptive period 10 years, meaning the victim must file the case within 10 years since the act happened. Unwelcome sexually determined behavior such as physical contact and advances, sexually colored remarks, showing pornography, and sexual demands, whether through words or actions, can be humiliating, can pose a health and safety risk. It is discriminatory when the woman has reasonable grounds to believe that her objection would disadvantage her in connection with her employment, including recruitment or promotion, or when it creates a hostile working environment.
Mental infidelity causes psychological damage including feelings of rage and betrayal, low sexual and personal confidence, and even post-traumatic stress disorder. Repeated verbal abuse, also known as a verbal aggression, verbal attack, verbal violence, verbal assault, psychic aggression, or psychic violence, is a type of psychological mental abuse that involves the use of oral language, gestured language, and written language directed to the victim. Forcing or allowing the victim to witness the abuse on a member of a family, and unlawful deprivation of the right to custody or visitation of victims' children.
Hello, my name is Yuna de la Cruz. Today I will perform about violence against women and their children. The victims' rights. The violence against women and their children lists down the rights of the victim, including be treated with dignity and respect, confidentiality, free public legal assistance, paid leave of absence, be informed of the rights and services they are entitled to, including protection order. Mandatory services that include temporary shelter, psychosocial services, recovery rehabilitation programs, livelihood assistance, medical assistance. Again, I am Yuna Anika Indira I de la Cruz. Please stop violence against women and their children.
It is hard to think that the most women does experience these things. So please let us help our women and children in need.
We hope that you learned about what we shared with you.
That's all. Thank you and goodbye.